Hey folks, carrying on the next load of shelves. Fourth column now. What have we got there? 4 more columns after this. We're getting there. We've done a lot of progression through these shelves, we've got to admit, you and I, and like I say, feedback's still good, views are still good, so gotta finish it, gotta get it done. So, we're on to some heavy stuff now for the next few episodes, and starting off with Vital Lacerda or / Eagle Griffin games to be more exact. Now, there is another Vital Lacerda game a bit further on, but it was done by Stronghold, so that one will have to come then. Until the new one comes out by Eagle Griffin, then it will get replaced. But for now, we're going to go for these 4, and I'm going to try not to talk too much about each one, given how huge they are. So, in order of which ones I prefer, let's go from a preference perspective. I would say my least favourite out of the 4, and I do love these games, alright, don't get me wrong, but the least favourite would probably be, I think, On Mars. That would probably be that one. So, oh god, these are going to be big. big. So, On Mars, the huge monstrosity, Ian O'Toole's artwork all over it, and Vital Lacerda's signature, of course. This is his style of heavy Euro game. This is a beast. You are basically on Mars, and you are colonizing it for Earth, because, let's face it, they're all like that. We're kind of getting a bit sick of Mars now. And with this one, it's a Euro game. Obviously, it's a Euro game, but you are trying to build buildings on there using your little robot dudes. You're getting colonists to settle on Mars, and you're building these project cards which allow you to essentially perform little special abilities while also gaining you points. Building different buildings levels up the colony, and obviously you need resources, you need technologies that you can borrow from other players. The main sort of quirk with this one that I quite liked was the fact that the turn order sequence on here requires you to decide whether you want to go to the Mars itself or go to the space base in orbit. And depending on how far the game has gone, the frequency of how long the shuttle takes to get up there varies from round to round. So it might take ages before you have the chance to go back up to orbit. So you got to time your visits frequently and on point. It's definitely a brain burner. It definitely requires a lot of thought process, and it is phenomenally well produced. It is a very well produced game. It's my least favourite. I'm going to say, God knows what the insert's done to these, but it's my least favourite of the ones I own. But that's not like saying, oh, this is bad. The main reason is that this one is quite a tricky one to teach people, not to mention it's also like your first game is basically a write-off, because it's going to be so hard for you to figure out how you're supposed to be doing well or how you're really supposed to play the game that your first game is going to be a loss, typically, unless you're all on the same playfront. It's also pretty long, even for what, for Vital Lacerda game standards. I mean, most of them will take you a good 2.5 to 3 hours anyway. This one's pretty much guaranteed to take you that length, probably longer in your first game or when you've got new players and 4 players even. It's like, I do not want to play this with 4 players if I can help it, and cap it at 3 ideally. But, it's still a solid game, and I do like it, mainly for those mechanics that I've mentioned. But yeah, it's definitely just the least out of the ones that I've got. Next up in least, let's see, this would then be, Lisboa. This is like, very nice, beautiful looking sort of blue artwork there with the kind of architectural theme, and it's repeated all over the board and components. It's kind of ridiculous, cool, blimey, all on the back. But with this one, there's not a lot to show, but here you're trying to explain the theme, really. It's set in Lisboa after like these big disasters happen, like earthquakes and fire and that. I don't know the history full stop, go ask Vital Lacerda, he'll tell you the full history himself. But the idea is that you're kind of building up Lisboa after all this has taken place. You're clearing up the rubble, you're putting buildings down, you're asking these 3 big advisor dudes like the king and a couple of senators for help. And the crux with the mechanic for this is that you have this board with a tableau of cards, a hand of cards, and you play one either above or below the board, and it does different things based on what icons are on the card. So they're multi-use cards, something that I like. You've only got a small selection of them, so it's not like you've got to judge between like a million different options. And it's just a pretty solid game all round, but again, very hard to teach, much like On Mars, because you kind of have to give a history lesson before you even start with the rules of this game. And you want daunting for a game, then pick this. You get reference guides that are basically novels trying to describe all the different cleric tiles that you can get, and all the different building abilities you can get, and all the different card abilities you can get. There's like a massive novel book that you've got to have for your personal reference guide as to what they all do. Oh my god, it overwhelms a lot of people. But still very enjoyable. And again, still better with less players. It's just the fact that they do take quite a long time. Although with more players, you do get a little bit more action with like the interaction side of it. But I think it scales fine with less players and does pretty well solo as well. But again, huge, long, definitely brain burny. And the theme is not my favourite out of all of them, considering it's mainly a sort of historical based theme. But mechanically, it's a very sound heavy game. Right, now we're getting into really good ones. Now, granted, my second favourite Lacerda is the Stronghold one that's coming up later. But out of these ones, Vinhos Deluxe Edition. Yes, this one, God knows what the insert's going to be like if I turn this on its back. But Vinhos, and I'm very specific about this one because this came out with two editions. A 2016, whatever they called, Vintage Edition, or whatever it was, and the original edition, the 2010, I think it was, or was it earlier than that? But there's two ways to play it. So the old version and the new version. I only play this with the new version. The new version is much more streamlined, yet it is still a brain-burny game, easier to teach, and because it's a wine theme, A, that sings to me because I like wine, and B, it's easier to explain to people because Mars is a completely separate thing entirely, and the history lesson with Lisboa is a completely different ball game to try and teach. Here, though, who doesn't know about wine? Who doesn't know how wine is made? You don't need to know the intricate details, but you know that, all right, okay, I've got to make good wine. Well, Vineyard's a good start, and, get these guys that help out with wine, and good quality wine is obviously better than bad quality wine, and then I can sell it, or I can show it at the fair. Most of it is pretty straightforward to understand thematically what you're supposed to do. But you got a lot of options, some different setups. It's a really sweet game, and God knows what's going to happen with the insert if I turn this over. I'm dreading it. Oh no! But again, Tools artwork, very nice and beautiful at times. Quite a lot going on though. It is a bit of a busy board, I have to say, but with the new version, it's definitely a lot better. I mean, it's a lot easier to understand what you're supposed to do with the fair and the tiles. I'm not a fan of the old version though, because I think it just goes one step too far in complexity. Like there's all these little bits you got to deal with, particularly the bank. I'm trying to play a game about making and showing off wine. I don't care about bank loans. Don't make me play a mini game with my finances. Just give me a nice simple, here's my, look, you've got banknotes, that are your coins. And if you want more money, go sell your wine. Is that so hard to do? Why has it got to be bank loans and finance and interest and all that rubbish when you do these games? Nah, just give me solid thematic game. So I do love this one, but only in its 2016 form. And now, my favourite of Eagle Griffin and my favourite of Vital Lacerda's games, the Gallerist. This one easily beats out Kanban, which is the other one, although we'll see whether the new version actually might overtake this one, but I don't think it will. The theme for Kanban I like better, the Car Factory, but this Art Gallery one is a really cool theme, even though I know nothing about art. But with this is the most streamlined of all of his games. Even Escape Plan, because Escape Plan is technically the easier one of the lot, but I still think it's quite fiddly to learn. I mean, it looks horrible. It's not, I don't like Escape Plan at all, but this one I just think combines the heaviness with a nice streamlined set of rules that are very easy to explain. It's so easy to explain this game to people. But here, nice bigger board here. You've got very nice picturesque colour scheme, you've got the artist, and, running an art gallery. Right, I need art, so I'll go find the artist. He paints me a piece of art. I put it in my gallery. I show it off or I sell it. Different types of art, like photography and sculptures. How do I make the artist more famous? Well, I go to the radio station and, beef him up a bit. There's thematically, again, everything makes sense, even though, and it's also very rewarding. If someone kicks you off a space, you get the executive action, which is what this kind of, I think, started it off. And with this, it means that you place your pawn in such a way that you're hoping someone kicks you out so that if you've got the influence to spare, you can get bonus actions, and that's a way you can do well in this game. Of course, you need to have the influence to spend, and it's a finite resource. But on top of that, you're collecting the little meeples for your gallery, you're getting these bonus tiles, and lots of things here give you a little bonus, and that's what I like in this game particularly. Lisboa does a little bit of this, the others less so. But with this, it's like, right, I'll take this bonus tile and cover this space. Oh, I get a little bonus. Oh, this contract, I'll put a Meeple dude on there. Oh, I get a bonus. And it's, you know, everybody's getting these bonuses, but it just feels nice to receive reward rather than be punished unnecessarily. And a lot of Euro games fall victim to this. But combine it with a nice easy rulebook, probably the best rulebook out of all the Vital Lacerda games. This one easily is my favourite of the lot and is not going anywhere anytime soon. Now I got to put them back on the shelf. They're heavy. Maybe I should do my weightlifting with those. But that's it for this shelf. We'll move on away from Eagle Griffin now and onto a bit of kind of like a double bill in a sense. There's 3 games, 2 next time and 1 next time. We're mainly going on to Mind Clash, my other favourite when it comes to like stupidly heavy thematic Euro games. So I'll see you then. Take care. Stay safe.